Have you ever felt like Canada just isn't working the way it used to? Prices keep rising, homes feel out of reach, and debts piling up, not just for families, but for the government too. And the craziest part, every one of these problems connects to a much bigger trend, signs of decline we're seeing across the West. Let's break down what's really happening and how regular Canadians can protect themselves before it gets worse. Hi, I'm Thuc, your money guy. I spent over 14 years in finance helping people understand money, markets, and the forces that quietly shape our economy. A few years back, I worked with a small business owner who was doing everything right. Great product, loyal customer, but when the inflation hit and rates jumped, his cost doubled overnight. His margins vanished, not because he changed, but because the system did. That's when I realized you can't win financially if you don't understand the bigger game being played. So today, we are breaking down 10 major warning signs of decline that Canada is checking off one by one. Let's start with the big one first. Housing. Homes in Canada are among the most expensive in the world relative to income. For decades, low interest rates, foreign capital, and restrictive zoning drove prices up faster than wages could even catch up. Today, the average home in cities like Toronto or Vancouver costs over 10 times the median income. That means young families either give up on buying or spend 40 to 50% of their income on housing. And when shelter eats that much of your paycheck, you are not saving, investing, or starting families. You are just surviving. That is not a sign of prosperity. That's a sign of imbalance. Number 2, inflation and lower quality of life. Even with stable jobs, Canadians feel poorer. Groceries, gas, and basic services all cost more, but wages haven't kept up. Why? Inflation may have cooled, but essentials never went back down. And global supply chains, energy policies, and food costs all keep pressure high. The result? People cut back on healthy food, delay vacations, and stress more over bills. When inflation outpaces income, your quality of life quietly erodes. And that is exactly what we are living through right now. Number 3, higher stock market valuations. Now, if you only look at the stock market, things look great. Big valuations, record highs, investors celebrating. But here's the catch. Market success doesn't reflect the real economy anymore. Cheap money inflated asset prices. Tech and financial giants dominate indexes. Meanwhile, small businesses, the backbone of our economy, struggle under higher borrowing costs. When Wall Street grows but Main Street shrinks, that's not enough. That's not growth. That's concentration of wealth. Number 4, less real economic growth. Canada's GDP might still look fine on paper, but when you adjust for population growth and inflation, real per capita growth has been weak for years. We're not getting richer, we're just getting bigger. Why? Low productivity, over-reliance on real estate, slow innovation. Instead of investing in infrastructure on new industries, we've leaned on debt and immigration to keep GDP numbers afloat. But that kind of growth doesn't build lasting wealth. It's like running on a treadmill, lots of motion, no progress. Number 5, Asia for the poor. This is controversial, but it's a discussion happening right now in Canada. The Medical Assistant in Dying (MAID) program has expanded dramatically, and some fear it's become a symptom of deeper failure, where vulnerable people feel death is easier than living without support. The problem isn't compassion, it's policy failure. When healthcare access, mental health services, and housing support fall short, people lose hope. That's not dignity, that's desperation. And when a society starts normalizing despair among its poorest, that's a moral warning sign. Number 6, mass immigration and population replacement. Immigration has always been part of Canada's identity, but the pace and scale recently are unprecedented. We've added millions in just a few years, without building the infrastructures or housing to support them. The result? Housing demand skyrockets, rents soar, and services get stretched thin. Immigrants aren't the cause. Policy mismanagement is. You can't bring in record numbers of people without planning for school, healthcare, and affordable homes. When immigration becomes an economic patch instead of a strategic plan, it breeds resentment and instability. Number 7, lower birth rate. While population grows through immigration, birth rates keep falling. Why? Because the cost of living makes starting a family nearly impossible for many. Daycare can cost more than rent. Housing is unaffordable. People feel financially insecure, so they delay or decide against having kids. That is a demographic time bomb. An aging population with fewer young workers means rising taxes, healthcare strain, and slower growth down the line. Number 8, greater public and private debt. Here is the trap. Canada has one of the highest household debt ratios in the world. Governments are also deep in deficit spending. We borrowed heavily during COVID and kept spending even after. Households borrowed to chase rising home prices. And now, with higher interest rates, everyone's feeling the squeeze. Debt is fine when it funds productivity, but when it funds consumption and speculation, it becomes a ticking bomb. Number 9, bureaucratic gaslighting. Then there's the growing mistrust. People feel like leaders tell them everything's fine while their rent doubles and their pay doesn't move. The gap between official statements and lived reality creates cynicism. That is what is meant by bureaucratic gaslighting. When citizens stop believing their government, even good policies lose credibility. Trust, once lost, is almost impossible to rebuild. Number 10, privatization and asset stripping. Finally, privatization. When public assets or services get sold off to balance short-term budgets, citizens lose long-term control. We have seen it with utilities, healthcare, outsourcing, and housing projects. Private operators may be efficient, but their goal is profit, not public good. And that shift from shared benefit to private gain widens inequality and erodes faith in public institutions. Let's put it all together, and here's what you get. High cost, low growth, rising debt, shrinking trust, and policy driven by short-term politics. That is not collapse, but it is a slow bleed. And the scary part, decline doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, one policy, one generation, one lost opportunity at a time. So what can Canadians do? Here are 3 things. Get financially literate. Understand how debt, inflation, and taxes shape your real income. Vote with your wallet and your voice. Demand productivity-driven policies, not just spending. Build resilience. Save more, invest smarter, and stay informed. Because even in decline, opportunity exists if you know where to look. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like and subscribe. I post weekly deep dives to help Canadians understand money, economics, and policy in plain language. I'm Thuc, your money guy, reminding you the system may shift, but those who stay informed always stay ahead. See you next time.